If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
Back on the show is Sean Woodson, everybody, picking up a big win at UFC Boston over Kyle Bochniak at his UFC debut. Very impressive performance, and glad to have Sean back on the show. How are you, sir?
Great, man. Glad to be back on the show.
It was great talking to you after the fight. You got to live in the moment, enjoy the victory, and talk about it right after. But now that a few days have gone by, you're back home. How does it all feel now? Has it all sunk in, what you've just done? First UFC fight, first UFC win is out of the way?
Man, I don't really even try to give it the time to sink in. You know, I just try and the moment the fight's over, I'm thinking about what's next. You know, I appreciate it and all, but yeah, I like to just keep looking ahead and keep looking at what's forward.
You fought on the Contender Series, obviously, but being in the Garden with all those people, UFC debut, the lights, the fans, especially being the away team, so to speak. Was it like you expected, making the walk to the cage, being in there, listening to the crowd? Was it what you expected, or was it a little more dramatic than you thought it would be?
It's exactly how I expected, and that alone just made me so happy because, you know, I've always been a calm, cool, and collected type guy when I fight, and leading up to this one, the week in the hotel and fight day, I was a little more nervous than usual. Cause I've been like I've told other guys, I've been in that octagon a million times before in my head and visualized it so much, and I had a good idea how I thought it was gonna be, but you never know. So yeah, when my music played and I started walking out there, and I was in front of the lights, cameras, all that stuff, and got in the octagon, I was so happy and relieved that it was just as I imagined. I'm like, okay, yes. I'm like, I knew I was ready for this. I knew I was meant to do this, and yeah, man, I had so much fun out there.
That's one thing that I've noticed about you in all the times we've chatted is you are very calm, cool, and collected, whether it be in a fight or in an interview. I mean, your UFC debut might get ramped up a little bit more, but you are a very calm, cool, collected guy. Have you always been like that, or is that something that sort of developed over the years?
I've always been like that. From when I first started fighting, I'm talking about early on when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. I loved it, and like I knew this is what I wanted to do, but I would get like really, really nervous before fights. And I was like, man, this is gonna have to be something I figure out. I got to figure this out now before, if I'm planning on doing this for the rest of my life. And yeah, just after like a lot of, I guess, meditation and thought, I just finally, got it drilled into my head that, it's just a fight. There's so much outside stuff that comes along with fighting that you can easily focus on, but there's just only a few things that actually really matter and that are actually determine the way a fight plays out. So I just focus on those things only, and everything else I'm just calm, cool, and collected, and I'm tunnel visioned, and I know what I'm there to do.
You got a little taste of it with the Contender Series, but being a part of a UFC fight week, it is like a well-oiled machine. You're pulled in all these different directions. It's do this, interview with this person, interview with this person. They're just like on the ball when it comes to everything. What did you enjoy outside of the fight itself and getting your first UFC win? What did you enjoy the most about your first UFC fight week? What was the biggest takeaway from it?
Man, just being there, it was just an amazing experience. I've never ever traveled for like vacation. The only time I've ever traveled is for the UFC, really. The only time I've ever traveled is for the UFC. And even this time, it wasn't a vacation by any means, but it was amazing to be in a new city, be around, seeing new stuff. And, just being in the mix of how the UFC works. Like, I've watched it so many times on YouTube, like the behind-the-scenes embeddeds. And just I've seen so many UFC fight weeks before, and it was just amazing to be taking a part of one. And yeah, I enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoyed being in the hotel, being around all the UFC staff members, the other UFC fighters. I felt like a little kid, man. I see a lot of guys, when they get there, they try and act, they're walking around the hotel with their shades on and they're being real serious, trying to, like, oh, this ain't a big deal to me. It ain't nothing. Dude, I was in awe the whole time. When I'm seeing Daniel Cormier, Dominic Cruz, Paul Felder, I'm just, happy. I'm not trying to, fake anything. If I'm in awe and super happy to be around some people or be somewhere around some guys that I've looked up to, I'm gonna show it, you know. And so yeah, it was just amazing being around the whole UFC experience altogether was amazing. They take great care of you. The food I was eating during fight week was the best food I've ever had during fight week. The you know, the just the overall how they take care of you was all amazing.
Did you enjoy Boston itself? Did you get a chance to explore the area at all, or were you just mostly in the hotel, just staying mentally focused on the fight?
Yeah, the first couple of days I got there, Monday and Tuesday, I got to do it a little exploring. Me and my guy, we walked around the whole city almost. We walked around this big river. I don't know the name of it. It was right by the hotel.
That's as we say in Boston, the Charles River. The Charles River.
The Charles River?
The Charles, yeah, but they always pull the R way.
River. Okay, I got you. A little accent on it. Okay, yeah, we walked around the Charles River. We walked. I went down to that bridge, went over to the other side, down in the city. We walked over. Got to see Fenway Park. Walked all around that, and yeah, just walking around, crossing that bridge and going down into the city part. Just walking around all those buildings. The architecture looked a lot different than what I'm used to seeing here in St. Louis. So that was amazing. Yeah, I got to see a good amount of Boston.
Let's talk about the fight itself, because you stepped in with a very tough, gritty guy. Of course, it was a hometown fight for him. Kyle Bochniak is as tough as they come. You want to be the first guy to finish him. You had many opportunities to finish him. You landed some big shots that many would be finished by. Not Kyle, though. What did you think of the fight? And was Kyle tougher than you thought he would be, or was he as tough as you expected him to be?
I knew that dude was tough going into it, and not just, saying like, you say about all your opponents, you're always a tough guy. I knew he was over the top tough, but even going in and knowing that, he ended up being even tougher than what I thought. Yeah, man, I wanted to be the first guy to finish him. Felt like I was really close. But yeah, that dude has a chin like no other. Right after the fight, I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get the finish, but now that I went back and looked at it and really thought about it, overall, I'm extremely happy with my debut. Man, yeah, like a couple of those knees I hit him with, he was rocked, but it literally was only for a split second. I've been doing this a long time. I know when a guy, when you rock somebody and they're still a little cloudy or a little wobbly, he would be rocked for a split second, but will recover so fast. And I could, see it in his face and his demeanor that, I would rock him, but he would recover so fast and be ready to, throw some bombs back. And I was too. If I had to take one thing away from the fight that I'm gonna definitely work on and that I would change, is I was too worried about the takedown. I was so worried about the takedown, and looking back, like I don't really know why, because I have a good ground game. It's not like I'm a fish out of water on the ground. I have jiu-jitsu. I train jiu-jitsu every day. So yeah, I was just a little bit too worried about the takedown. That's why I wasn't as busy with my hands, because I could, he shot for 15 takedowns, so I knew he was just constantly in search for his moment to slip under my punches and get the takedown. But yeah, man, as far as him being tough, he's the toughest opponent I've ever fought, hands down. My last fight in Contender Series, I landed the knee on that guy. The knee I landed on that guy didn't even compare to the knee I landed on Bochniak. And the knee I landed on that guy, it put him out. So, like, I'm feeling the impact on my knee, man. The knees I landed on Kyle were harder than that Contender Series one, and he ate them.
The fight sort of played out the way you expected it to. You figured you'd have the advantage on the feet, be able to use your length, and be able to surprise him at times on the feet. And you knew he'd shoot for a lot of takedowns in the fight as well. Besides, and everything sort of happened that way. Did anything else surprise you in the fight at all, or did everything just go pretty much according to plan across the board?
No, yeah, everything pretty much went according to plan. The only thing that surprised me is just how tough that guy was and the chin on that guy. Like, I think, 9 out of 10 guys, you hit them with those shots and they're going down and they're staying down. I buckled them a couple times with some solid knees. There's one time I hit him flush, smack dab in the middle of the face with an elbow that was right on the money, that even my elbow is still sore from that. There was a couple elbows I landed on the cage, but yeah, I hit him with one elbow that was really clean. I hit him with some hard shots in my hands, some hard knees. And yeah, I was just surprised at the chin on that guy, honestly.
I want to talk about backstage after the fight, because you went and spoke to the media, and I thought it was a really cool moment. I watched it on Twitter the next day. Kyle came back and did an interview with the local broadcast station, NESN, and he took the opportunity to grab you and sort of put you over to the local crowd on a different perspective than just watching the fight card. What did that mean to you as a guy coming in, making his debut, to have a guy who just coming off a loss getting in camera and taking the opportunity to put you over, during his interview.
Yeah, man, that was so cool of him and so respectful of him. And honestly, the moment was going so fast for me that I didn't even realize that he was still in the middle of doing an interview. Like, I saw the lady standing there. I didn't even realize cameras were rolling and that he was in the middle of doing an interview. And I was walking with a UFC staff member, a lady who was telling me, she's like, come on, we got to hurry up and rush. And then when he called my name over, she said to me, you got to make that fast. So, yeah, I saw that too online. And honestly, I kind of felt bad because I kind of was real brief with him. And I messaged him about it on Instagram, and we've talked about it. We're good. But yeah, I kind of walk up to him, and I was respectful to him. I told him, "Great fight, you're tough as hell." And I kind of got the feeling that he wanted to keep, conversating and talk. But yeah, I was just real brief with him, and then I hurried up and scurried away with the UFC lady. Man, I wish I would have shown him some more respect and actually stood there and talked it out with him during his interview. But yeah, we talked about it, and yeah, man, that was really cool of him to do.
I have to ask you about this because during your scrum with the media after the fight, you were great. It was a very similar conversation like we're having right now. But then James Lynch asked you about Shamrock FC, and your whole team fell on the floor laughing. And you were like, how you kept your composure throughout that whole thing is unbelievable to me. You're obviously letting it out now, but is there a story there? Like, what's the story here?
Oh man, you trying to get me in trouble, man. Nah, man. There really isn't a story to be. There really isn't a story. Those guys, they busted out laughing like that because I don't know. I guess the question was, what was the question? Did Shamrock help me get to where I was or something along those lines?
It was something like that. It was like, a lot of your fights were in that organization. And I think the way the question was supposed to be presented, if it wasn't already, was, how much did fighting for them help you for improve your game to get you to this moment? And you said, no, they didn't help me at all. And Krause is falling to the floor. I mean, that's what I remember. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, man. I guess they've had some experiences with them or whatever, but yeah, I don't. It was just I think I just gave them an answer that they weren't expecting to hear, so that's why they busted out laughing like that. To be honest, yeah, that's what happened with that.
So it must have been just a ridiculous week having those guys around, not just for the presser and the scrums, but just the whole week in general. They must have kept you nice and loose and relaxed the whole time.
Oh, dude, it's a trip that I'll never forget, man. I had so much fun on that trip, man. My two guys from back home, Jordan Downey and Mop, and I had my girlfriend there, and Krause, man, James Krause. Having him there was huge for me, man. Like, that dude, he made that week go by, just so smooth, and his presence was a big help. We just had a great time. We kicked it up in the hotel room most of the time, and yeah, man, we were just cracking jokes and, getting through the weight cut. Even through the weight cut, we were cracking jokes, having fun. And, he was giving me great advice from being there. He's a veteran in the game. He was giving me great advice. And, yeah, man, we just had a great time. How you seen those guys cracking up on the side of the stage during that interview is how we were a good portion of that week, man.
I have to say, and I'm not just saying this because you're standing in front of me right now and that he coached you and got you ready for this fight, but I truly believe that James Krause is – I don't know if he's the most undervalued and most underrated fighter in the UFC, but if he isn't, I think he's the most underrated coach in MMA right now as well. Would you concur with that?
1,000,000,000%. That's crazy. Like, I swear, almost every time I see this dude, we have the same talk. I tell, we get, he has a fight coming up in November in Brazil, and yeah, we were talking about that on the trip. And anytime we talk, I say, man, you are so slept on and underrated. Like, guys really don't understand how good that dude is. And, yeah, man, I'm really not just saying that. You just said it, he's slept on. I think he's about to really, make some noise here soon and is about to get the respect he deserves. He's kind of like a Jorge Masvidal. How long was Masvidal in it before he finally got his credit, the credit he deserves? I think the same thing's about to happen with Krause. And yet he says that he feels like he's a better coach than he is fighter. And he's an amazing coach too, man. He really does a good job of, bringing the best out of people.
He's like Joe Lozon in a way. I think many people believe Lozon is a better coach than he is a fighter as well, but he's a pretty damn good fighter too. So,
right, yeah, like for him, for Krause to say that he feels like he's a better coach than he is fighter, that is huge to me because I know how good of a fighter he is. So yeah, man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know if it was discussed at all. I know it was a big part of your story heading into the Contender Series, but you had told your dad that making it to the UFC, becoming a champion, that was what he wanted from you. And now you go into Boston, you have a debut like that. Just, it was a masterful performance. It's as good as you could do without actually getting a finish over a guy like that. I'm sure your father's with you now. He was with you in Boston. He was with you in the Octagon. Yeah. What was that moment like, knowing that he has your back like that?
Yeah, man, he had the best seat in the house that night, man. I was real close with my dad. I'm always, in those moments every day. I pray every day. I talk to my loved ones who passed on every day. And leading up to that fight, I knew he was with me. And just going into any fight, that's my goal, is to make him and my mom and all my loved ones proud of me. And I was really happy to put on that sort of performance, to be there on the big stage, to be, doing what I've dreamed of for so long, and to know that he was watching me. It was amazing.
I actually concur with you in terms of what's next for you. I think you and Steven Peterson is the fight to make. I think that's the one. Sean Woodson versus Ocho. That's the fight, right? That's the fight.
Yes, 1,000%. Yeah, man. I knew, I know how this works. Watched it for a long time. They always ask you who you want next. I was trying to think about it, and then I was watching that UFC Mexico fight live and saw that knockout, and I was like, that guy. I'm like, that's who I want to fight for sure. And I looked up all his other past fights. Just like Bochniak, he brings it. He comes forward. Yeah, this is the fight I want really bad, really bad. No, out of respect, though, because I love his fighting style and all. I want that fight bad.
When would you like to return? I mean, I know you're just coming off your debut. When would you like to get back? Next, you want to try to get another one in this year or early next year? What are you thinking?
I don't think this year probably won't happen, but I want it the first thing next year, January. If I could have it my way, it'd be January. I look on the UFC website every day, and they only have their events planned out up until December 21st, I believe. They haven't shown any listings for January or February yet, so I don't know where any of those cards are going to be. But I would like January or February if I could get that.
How many times have you watched a fight?
We ain't got to 10 yet, but it's probably been 5, 6, 7. Not 10 yet, but about 5, 6, or 7 times, something like that.
Are you picking yourself apart during this whole thing, or are you just watching oh yeah?
No. Dude, the first 2 times I was cringing in moments man, why didn't I take that guy out? But as much as I say, why didn't I? As much as I try and beat myself up about finishing him, I just gotta I just gotta get over that and just give that dude credit. That dude was undeniably tough on a whole nother level. It was unreal how strong his chin was. Like I said, 9 out of 10 guys are falling down and staying down after some of those shots that I hit this guy with, and he just ate him, man. So that's just props and much respect to him. But I definitely, I'm my worst critic, man. I seen some things I can work on, but I saw some stuff I'm really happy with. I think overall for a UFC debut, the announcers were even saying, Daniel Cormier and them said I looked, almost like a veteran in there, man. I look like I've been there time and time again. And so, I'm really happy with it.
And I'm really happy for you, man. Congratulations. It was a tremendous performance. Unbelievable win. The road team coming in there and just dominating a guy who doesn't get dominated very often. And you did it very comfortably and relaxed. And you looked like you've been there for 10 years as a member of the UFC roster. So it was amazing. So before we let you go, man, it's great catching up with you again. Let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web, social media. And might I say, let's step the Twitter game up a little bit. You're a UFC fighter with a victory now.
Yeah, you're right, man. I got to get on it. I'm on that this week. I'm going to get my Twitter game back popping this week. Everybody been saying that. But for right now, yes. Instagram, you can find me at Sean Woodson, MMA 92. My Instagram popping up. We doubled. We was at 2,000 followers. Now we approaching 5,000. And yeah, man, Instagram for right now, Sean Woodson, MMA 92. I will get that Twitter going for you guys this week.
Sean Woodson MMA, by the way. That's what it is.
Sean Woodson MMA 92.
Is it 92 on that too? I don't think there's a 92 on Twitter. It must have been.
Oh, on Twitter? Yeah, that's right. I already got a dang Twitter, but I don't even know my password to log into that. I might make a whole new one and make it like STL Sniper or something like that.
I like it. We'll
see. Yeah.
Congratulations again, Sean. Thanks for the time as always.
Thank you, man. Looking forward to the next one.